Joining us now to discuss the case, David Viola, professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, also a counterterrorism expert. Professor, thanks so much for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And now, thankfully, the officers involved are recovering, and it really was incredible in the report. One of them was injured and still managed to subdue the suspect. From your standpoint, what stands out about this case right now?
I think a lot of things stand out, to tell you the truth. Like you said, thankfully, the officers involved in the incident are all recovering. So that's first and foremost a good way to start the new year. Second of all, I think the second thing to focus on is the fact that this looks like it was an act of terrorism in Times Square. And the fact that this young man, if he is indeed the person who did this act, showed up with a machete instead of a high-powered rifle or something worse, is something that we should all be a little bit grateful for. If indeed he is the person who was responsible for it and he came from Maine, it's not that Maine is known for its strict gun control laws. So these are all things to be grateful for. With a couple of million people packed into the Times Square area, this could have turned out a lot worse for New York City and for people celebrating there on New Year's Eve.
Certainly, and I think a lot of people, though, do want to know how a man armed with a machete was able to get so close to one of the most secured events in the entire country. What do you think happened there?
I think that the mayor and the assistant director in charge of the New York City field office for the FBI, as well as the NYPD commissioner, all spoke about it at their initial press conference after it. And the fact is that he was at 52nd Street and 8th Avenue when he was stopped, which is, for those unfamiliar with the Times Square area, we're talking about, this is about a third of a mile from the actual drop of the ball. So he didn't get into that close cordoned area where the most people were. So the security perimeter that the authorities set up, it did its job, and he was stopped before he got closer to the core.
And we often see terrorists aim at so-called soft targets. This was a police patrol. What can counterterrorism officials learn from this attack?
I think they can learn a bunch of things. I think they can learn that the individuals who were monitoring online chat rooms back in Maine, who initially caught wind of his communications and his statements, they were doing their job and they did it well, and they caught on to what he was saying. This is, again, this is all speculation until this is proven in a court of law, but if indeed he was making those statements, it sounds like that's protected First Amendment speech, but it is something that the authorities from the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the FBI runs with local departments, that they want to monitor. So that worked, and they did ping onto this individual's statements. And if there was more, if there was communications with overseas terrorist organizations, they would have now had him on that list to monitor, and that would have become a criminal investigation and not just a cause to monitor.
And we are learning more about this suspect. He was a high school athlete with good grades in Maine. Does this case shatter any preconceived notions about who is typically a terror threat? And how would someone like this become involved with posts online referencing these extremist Islamic teachings?
You know, he doesn't fit the mold of who we think would be involved in radical Islamic radicalization over the course of the last couple of years. Like you mentioned, he's again, giving him the benefit of the doubt until he's proven in a court of law. But this young individual, the suspect, is very young and was barely a teenager during the height of ISIS power in Iraq and Syria. So he doesn't fit the mold, but I think that is just cause to remind us that there really is no reliable mold. We've spoken a lot about, you know, the theories of radicalization in the past 2 decades since September 11th, and none of them really hold up to peer review. So we just need to keep an open mind on who becomes radicalized and who gets involved in these kinds of extremist ideologies. And, you know, you look at this individual and you might have thought that this kind of young Caucasian male, a teenager from a small town in Maine, would end up on the other end of the political spectrum. But we just need to be careful about making those vast generalizations, because they kind of put blinders on us to what might be the reality of the situation.
All right, David Viola, professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, counterterrorism expert. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.